Dear friends, we share the most exciting stories. Subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for amazing adventures. The waitress who fed two orphans. A black Mercedes-Benz stopped in front of a modest house on the outskirts of Chicago. The man who stepped out wore an impeccable suit and held a leather folder in his hand. Neighbors peeked through their windows, curious. What was such a luxury car doing on this simple street? What he was about to deliver would forever change the life of the woman who lived there, a woman who, 17 years ago, had performed a small act of kindness that time itself had not forgotten. Inside the house, Grace Miller, now in her 50s, looked out the window with tired eyes. Her hands still trembled after a double shift at the diner. Her gray hair was tied loosely, her uniform stained, her shoes worn thin. Her entire life had been spent serving others. She could never have imagined that in just 2 minutes she would learn how one simple act of compassion could rewrite a destiny. A knock at the door startled her. Through the peephole, she saw a well-dressed man waiting politely. He carried himself with respect, not arrogance, unlike the wealthy customers she used to serve. "Good evening, ma'am." "Are you Grace Miller?" he asked kindly when she opened the door. "Yes, that's me," she replied cautiously. "My name is David Coleman," he said. "I'm an attorney." "I need to talk to you about something very important." Grace's mind raced. Had she done something wrong? Was it about debts, rent, taxes? Her life had always been honest, but fear of officials was something she could never shake. "This concerns something you did long ago," David continued softly, noticing her anxiety. "Something wonderful, something you probably don't even remember." "Forgotten?" Grace frowned. What could she have done that would bring a lawyer to her doorstep? What she was about to hear would prove that even the smallest gestures can create the greatest miracles. 17 years earlier, one winter in Chicago had been especially cruel. The diner where Grace worked, the Golden Deer, was almost empty that night. Only a few customers braved the cold. While wiping tables, Grace's eyes caught a glimpse of something outside the fogged window. 2 children digging through the trash bins. The older boy, maybe 12, clutched his younger brother protectively. Both were filthy, dressed in torn clothes that couldn't possibly keep them warm. Grace's heart tightened as she watched the boy's trembling fingers pull wilted vegetables from the garbage. The younger one cried softly, his small shoulders shaking. "Oh, dear God," Grace whispered, pressing her hand against the glass. Her manager, Mr. Clark, appeared beside her. "What are you staring at?" he grumbled. Following her gaze, his face darkened. "Those street rats again. They scare off paying customers." He stormed out the door. "Get lost, you little beggars. This is private property. Next time I'll call the cops." The boys flinched, terrified. The older grabbed his brother's hand and ran into the night. Grace stood frozen, watching their silhouettes fade into the falling snow. She couldn't shake their faces from her mind, faces filled with fear and hopelessness. When the restaurant finally closed and Mr. Clark left for the night, Grace made a decision that would change her life forever. With shaking hands, she packed 2 full meals, hot vegetable soup, fresh rolls, meat and potatoes, everything she could find. Then she threw on her thin coat and hurried into the freezing night. Snow crunched beneath her shoes as she searched the empty streets. After 20 minutes, she found them, huddled under a broken bus shelter. The older brother had taken off his own jacket to wrap his sibling. Both were shivering. When they saw her with the steaming bag, their eyes widened in disbelief. Grace knelt beside them and handed over the food. "This is for you," she said softly. The boys opened the bag with trembling fingers. The scent of hot soup and bread filled the icy air. The younger began to cry, not from pain this time, but from gratitude. "Why?" the older asked quietly, his voice broken and foreign. "Why are you helping us?" Grace looked at them with tears in her eyes. "Because you deserve it," she said. "Every child deserves a warm meal." The boys ate carefully, each making sure the other got enough. Their kindness to each other moved her deeply. "What's your name?" the older asked. "We want to remember you." "Names don't matter," Grace smiled. "Just stay safe and warm." As she walked away, the younger boy called out, "You're our angel." The next morning, Mr. Clark discovered the missing food. His temper exploded. "Grace Miller! Where are last night's cutlets and soup? Do you think I wouldn't notice?" "I gave them to 2 hungry children," she admitted quietly. "What? From my kitchen? Out of my profits?" he roared. "You'll pay for it. $45 out of your wages." That was nearly a third of her weekly income, but Grace said nothing. "And if you ever give away food again, you're fired," he snapped. From that night on, Grace began searching for the boys after work. She found them under bridges, in abandoned stairwells, always bringing food she bought with her own money. Her apartment grew colder because she stopped using the heater. Her fridge was nearly empty, but her heart was full. Mr. Clark mocked her in front of others. "Look at the great saint feeding strays while the rest of us work." But Grace didn't care. The smiles of those boys were worth every sacrifice. Then one cold March evening, they were gone. Their usual hiding spots were empty. Grace searched for days, under bridges and shelters at hospitals. No one had seen them. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The uncertainty tore her apart. Years passed. Grace grew older. Still working at the same diner, she never forgot the boys. She had no idea that somewhere in the world those 2 children had grown into men, and one day they would return to repay the kindness that had saved their lives. And now, standing on her doorstep, that moment had finally come.